Welcome to another episode of the Dentology podcast, where we discuss the business of dentistry. In this podcast series, we'll be discussing all the non-clinical aspects of dentistry, from goodwill values, finance, marketing, how to buy and sell a dental practice, mindset, through to where you can invest your money in team management issues. My name is Andy Acton, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris Strevens. Let's jump straight into it. Some people's stories just catch you out, don't they? You're not expecting it.
No. I mean, anyone listening, she is like a tsunami of enthusiasm and positivity.
Yeah.
And you almost just want to, if you could bottle it and say, hey, have a drop of Nicola.
Yeah. But get stuff done as well, and just keeps driving forward, in face of setbacks. What are they?
Yeah.
Her attitude is, well, that's
it's like a bump in the road.
That's not going to stop me. And
brilliant.
Her childhood story and coming to the UK and, the practice and working. Honestly, there's so much in there, but I think for me, just resilience and perseverance just came through so strongly.
Relentlessness. But, people get stressed about moving house or something.
When she was talking about kind of the mentorship that she's done for others, but she then uses that as a positive energy back into herself. Like I say, an incredibly impressive person.
Yeah, it's
really
Absolutely
impressive.
Brilliant. And just lovely, a really nice, enthusiastic, positive, bright, every other positive word I can think of.
Oh, I imagine if you have an interaction with Nicola, you come away for it all the better for it.
You don't forget her.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
So welcome to our latest episode of Dentology, the Business of Dentistry podcast. And today we are so lucky. We are joined by Nicola Gore. And Nicola Gore is a dentist who qualified at Guy's, principal at Totteridge Dental Studio with her delightful husband Matthew, long-standing VT Foundation Dentist trainer, author of Dentistry in a Nutshell with Dr. Rabia Maan, multiple award winner, founder of the British Iran Dental Association.
And pause.
I'm all out already.
And pause.
So welcome, Nicola. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much, Andy and Chris. Thank you for having me today, and thank you for the amazing introduction. I love it.
I'm glad you had time to fit us in, Nicola.
I was going to say you've done so much. It's incredible how much you pack in.
Yeah, I've been very blessed, Andy. I've got really good people around me who help me, so I'm not going to take all the credit. But yes, I do tend to pack in a lot, like you guys. I see you guys are really busy as well, always.
Yeah, I think it's healthy. I think it's that thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of the more you do, the more you're able to get done. But there's so much we want to get through. We'd like to talk about all different aspects of your life and your business, but we always think the best place to start is at the beginning.
Yeah.
So tell us about your childhood, because you moved around quite a bit, didn't you, before you settled in the UK?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so tell us that story.
Well, thank you for asking me to say my story. Basically, I was born here in Bristol, in UK in Bristol, because my parents met in England, and they got married in England. And my dad, he was a surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, and my mom a midwife. And they both met in Hampstead in a hospital called New End Hospital. And that's how it all started. And my dad, being a very early doctor, he had to travel everywhere. So he went to different cities to do his registrar posts and senior reg posts. And every city he went, he ended up having a daughter. So I was born in Bristol. My other sister, Natasha, was born in Canterbury. And my mom, being a midwife, so she knew the maternity wards very well, because she was working in all those hospitals as well.
Yeah.
And my younger sister, Ninette, was born in London. And so basically, when we were all little, because the weather in England wasn't that great, and my mom didn't have any help with 3 daughters. We decided to move back to Iran, and at that time there was the King Pahlavi still reigning, and my dad was offered an amazing post to open a hospital in a city called Mashhad. So we all moved lock, stock and barrel to Mashhad, which which is the second largest city in Iran after Tehran, Tehran being the capital. And then my dad opened up the hospital, became the director of orthopedics there, and my mom was the director manager of the midwifery section, and we were treated really like royalty because we were half. My dad is Indian and my mom is Iranian, so being like sort of expats, we were treated really well, and we had a very, very good lifestyle. So that's how we ended up in Iran. And we sort of I knew a little bit of English, but obviously my English got really diluted being in school in Iran. But my parents kept bringing us back for boarding schools and like trips abroad. And my dad's English, obviously he was an English speaking person because he was raised in Australia, so we were practicing with him a bit, but still it's not the same. You can't learn English really well in a different country, like you can't learn any other language in a different country. So basically it's harder, isn't it? So basically we picked up English a little bit. We did I did my GCSEs in Iran, which were O levels really, and then that's the time when the revolution had hit already. The country was into pieces a little bit. Things are not as great as it was before, and the Iran-Iraq war hit as well. And we were like sort of right in the middle of it, with my dad being a surgeon, having to go to the war front. And it was like chaotic for our family. And that's when my mom decided that we need to move back here. And it was time for me to go to university. So we packed our bags and we left. We left Iran. We left all our memories behind, all our childhood memories, and we moved here. I was 17, and right in time to do A levels.
When you came back to the UK, I had lunch with an Iranian dentist last week, and his story's similar to yours, but they effectively had to flee the country, and he had to come up via Turkey and Bulgaria, and eventually met family in Sweden. Was your passage out of Iran, was it more stable, or did you need to flee?
Much easier because I was British, had a British passport, so we're all British. My parents British, I was born here, so we all were British. With so we didn't have to sort of do a run away from the country. We chose to leave, and we chose to leave, and we came here quite easily. We didn't even need a visa, so because we showed our British passports at the border. So we came here, and we started life from zero again. So just imagine living like a royalty, having driver, chef, cook, everything, and then having to come back here and face renting a place. And then eventually my dad bought a very small apartment, and my dad had to start from scratch as well. And now guys, when I have a look at my dad's life, he was 50 when we came here, and he started from zeros, and he had a thriving orthopedic private practice where people would queue to see him. And he didn't sell it. And now I'm thinking, why didn't he sell his goodwill? It cost a lot of money, that goodwill. He just closed the practice overnight and just came here for us. And he sacrificed a lot, started doing locums, in various hospitals in London, like St. Thomas's, Lewisham Hospital, Guy's. And eventually he got himself a permanent job in Lewisham Hospital as director of orthopedics, and he was teaching. But when I look back now, I really admire him because he just did so much for his family. Exactly. Who would at the age of 50, when you're all settled, you've got everything in place, you just close for your sake of your kids, just leave? Just because he don't want to say. He could have sent us to boarding school here on our own, where many parents did that, or send us to different countries, on our own. But my parents chose not to do that. They chose to just close everything overnight and come with us. So so that's how the story started, and we ended up in England in 1987. Back in England in 1987 permanently.
Right, And so your father is an orthopedic surgeon, your mother's a midwife, so healthcare is kind of in the family. Was dentistry a natural career progression for you, or had you considered other healthcare professions?
Well, you know, Andy and Chris, my mom wanted me to be a doctor, and she said, "Doctor, you're going to be a doctor, Nicola." Doctor Nicola, from childhood, it was in my head that I'm going to be a doctor. And then when those days, do you remember we had OCA forms, not UCAS? I think you guys are younger than me. You probably don't remember. And in OCA forms,
I think I'm older than you. I tell you, but that's kind of good. Thank you very much.
So ARCA forms, you could fill in 5 options, different options. You didn't have to stick to one subject. So I did apply for medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, and chemistry, all in London, and I got all my offers. And when it came to crunch time, so I had chosen medicine and dentistry. And when it came to crunch time, my dad said, dentistry, don't go for medicine, because medicine has got long hours and it's hard, and to get to the top is quite difficult for a woman. You know, you're going to be a mom one day, so choose dentistry. And I thought, you know what, 32 teeth, what can go wrong, versus the whole body.
It's a limited scope,
exactly.
or you thought.
And I thought, and you know what?
The naivety of it.
Honestly, how wrong I was.
Yeah, definitely.
And there were times when my dad would say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry I made you choose this career. It's such a hard career." Because it is not an easy career. You know, when you're in medicine, you're really backed up in hospital. You're backed up by the directors. You're backed up by your team. You've got someone who'll do the radiology report, someone who'll do the pathology diagnosis. As a dentist, you do everything on your own. It's a one-man show. So that's why it is quite a hard career to sustain.
It's a lonely
career.
Yeah,
I think it is. I think it is quite a lonely place.
It is.
Yeah, and particularly because, well, the average dental practice is, I don't know, probably 3 surgeries. So that probably means it's, in most cases, you're a sole principal. You're working with a team of 8 or 9 other people.
Yes, that's right.
It really is a micro business.
Who
but
do
as you said,
share stuff with?
well,
I think that's the most.
But also with a lot of responsibility, because you know you're using high speed drills in the mouth where there's lots going on.
Absolutely.
But you're in a self-contained environment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a small environment. Everyone's nervous. Nobody wants to have a needle in their mouth. You know, one small movement of the tongue, you can actually end up traumatizing the tongue. Then on top of that, you're thinking of CQC, you're thinking of your accounts, you're thinking of your appraisals for your staff. You know, it's just like, it's never ending. It is. You do need a big team around you. You do need people to help you in this career. It's quite a tough career to be in.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll come on to your training side of things, but what advice would you give younger people thinking about dentistry as a profession, based on the advice you got from your father and your experience? What would you advise a 15, 16, 17-year-old young boy or girl now who's thinking about it as their career?
You know, it's such a good question. Be a pharmacist. That's what my daughter is studying. My daughter is studying to be a pharmacist. That's very sound advice, Chris. I think it's very difficult at the age of 15, 16 to decide what career you want to be in, because you're still a child. You haven't really seen a lot. Maybe your parents have taken you to a dentist or a doctor, or you haven't really sort of ventured out. So I think the UK system of deciding on your career is a bit wrong. It's a bit premature. And I like the US way, where they say do a degree, then after that decide on what other profession you want to take. But going back to your question, if somebody decides they want to do dentistry, I think firstly they need to spend some time in a dental practice. They need to actually observe to see, how it works, how the day-to-day works, and how the ups and downs are, how much time the dentist has to spend. And also they have to like people, because if you are a bit introvert, if you don't like people, if you don't like social gatherings, if you don't like opening up to people, this job is not for you, because this job takes a lot of talking and communication, and you need to be able to talk to your patients, explain stuff, get informed consent before you do treatment. And if you don't like talking to people, you're going to really suffer. You're going to really suffer in this type of job. So I personally think that A levels, GCSEs are great, but I think we should teach our kids communication skills from earlier on. We should teach them about, how to speak to people, how to communicate, because those are the skills which are going to help us in real life. And if I was to advise the younger generation, that's what I will always say: work on your communication skills.
I think it's good advice, and I think sadly, lots of those kind of basic human communication skills are being lost because people use technology so much.
Yes.
People spend so much time online. They don't talk and chat and use body language. No, and all the things that we would naturally do. People want to be on their phone and they'll message their friend in the next room as opposed to walking and have a conversation. It's changing, and like you say, when you're physically with somebody, you can get so much more out of them by seeing the body language and the facial expressions and everything else. So no, I think that's great advice.
I'd be really interested wouldn't it, if you went back 30 years and asked people, because I bet you dentists would see communication as, a lot of dentists at that era would see communication as that important. I wonder whether they'd see more about the fact of, no, you're just coming in, I'm a dentist, I'm going to drill and fill your teeth now, off you go. I think that evolution of dentistry being more of a as you were saying, Nicola, a communication, because without it you won't get informed consent.
Absolutely.
And I think it's amazing how it's moving.
But I think in your career, Nicola, I think it goes beyond just the communication with the patients. I saw you did a lecture, I think it was Icon, with the Smile Clinic guys. Right. I came over to one of their courses, and you were training, and it was primarily younger dentists, but they were hanging on your every word. So your communication doesn't kind of just get limited to patients. No. You obviously have a way of engaging with younger dentists when you're talking about a specialist area like Icon that gets them enthused and excited about it. Was that, and I know that you're a trainer and you've been a trainer for a number of years, haven't you?
Since 2004.
So you,
yes.
Wow. So and I assume that as an approach must feature quite heavily in how you take those young dentists through that program.
Well, what it is Andy and Chris, I observe a lot, and I pick out role models where I just think, I like the way Andy spoke, I like the way Chris spoke, and I like the way the hand gestures were, or the way, and I pick that and I memorize that, and then I practice it. I practice it on a person who would like to listen to me, like Matt. Like, and I sort of look at politicians to see how they talk, how they open their arms, and they're not stick their arms to the thing, they open, so it shows that openness, it shows that the eye contact. So I've managed to learn all this, because remember, when I came to England, my English was really weak, and honestly, when I went to uni, most of the people in my year were English. We had a handful of Asians, but we had a lot of people who were like Eton, Harrow boys, they were quite posh boys. We had a lot of people from up north where I couldn't understand their accents at all. So I had to actually learn how to speak with them and how to become friends with people like who I'm not used to their culture. And I think coming out of my comfort zone was the first step in making me a good teacher and a good listener, because I had to learn it the hard way myself, and also so many step backs I've had during my dental school, where I almost got kicked out of dentistry in the second year, purely because my English was weak, and there were certain words I didn't understand. Like, for instance, I didn't know what beveling means. Like you have the enamel, the cavity, you bevel it to increase the surface area for bonding. And there were words like this which wasn't in my vocabulary, and I had to go and find out from other people to find out what it was. And then it got to a point where the supervisor in my second year, when we started Phantom Head, said to me, Nicola, I don't think dentistry is for you. I think you need to find yourself another career. And I said to him, I don't understand why you're saying this. I'm passing all my exams. He said, it's not about exams. It's about your level of understanding and about your manual dexterity. And I'm like, I didn't even know what manual dexterity was. So I go to my dad. Dad, what is? I remember I've been in England 2 years only. So I did my A levels only in 1 year. I didn't do my A levels in 2 years. So I did. I really pressurized myself to finish my A levels. Went straight to uni. So I hardly been in England when I went to uni. And my dad said,
and dexterity doesn't often come up in a conversation, does it?
No, it wasn't like
learn,
it's not something like I would like me 18-year-old coming from Iran would know that word.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know that word. That's I use that all the time.
Yes, yeah, of course, so common.
Tip of my tongue, that word. Yeah.
So my dad said, look, he had actually in his British Medical Association journal, he actually found an article which said manual dexterity is acquired. He said, go back to him and say manual dexterity is acquired, and I'm going to learn it. So I went back to him. I said that I am not going to leave dental school. I'm going to finish, and this is acquired. I'm going to show you that I will actually excel. And that from that point on, I thought, you know what, I'm going to observe everyone that I think they're doing well. I'm going to learn from them. And in the 5 years, honestly, I didn't party. I didn't go out. All I was doing was just focusing on getting through dental school. But now I'm making up for it.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Now you're observing people at parties.
I was going to say.
I don't know where
yeah, why not?
I see you at lots of balls in very good gowns. Yeah, you're certainly making up for it now.
Honestly, I don't say no to a good party now. I'm going everywhere.
But within you, where does this desire to help and serve come from? Because when I talk to lots of dentists, lots of people reference you as their mentor. You know, I know lots of dentists that are grateful for the support that you've given them and continue to give them. But where does that kind of desire? Because I know the dental community is good, but lots of people get very wrapped up in their own world. But as you seem to spend a lot of time supporting so many other people,
and it takes time, doesn't it? You know, you have to do it properly.
It's if I tell you that I think it comes naturally, would you believe me? You know, I don't have to. I don't have to make an effort. I just feel like I'm here, and everyone's here in this world for a reason, and I have found my reason, and I know what it is I'm here for, and I think partly it's to do with the way my parents raised me, because I observed my parents, the way they were so forthcoming with information, with helping people, and I think I learned that subconsciously or unconsciously from them, observing them. And also I think Matt had a big impact in my life, because he's such a kind man, and he had like a really big impact. So I learned a lot from him, because I met him when I was 23 or 22. So,
I was going to ask you, when did you meet
I met him when
you were 23.
I think I was 23, 22. I was in my third year dental school when I met him. And then also I think because I've given and I've received more, it's just made me want to do more. And I see how, and I love it when people progress, when people are doing well. I actually really enjoy it, and it keeps me going, and it keeps me motivated and young. And and this has helped me to be around young people. I don't want to be around older people. I want to be around young people, like you guys.
But it's interesting. Listening to the story of your parents, whilst they're your parents as well, they sound like great mentors as well, because the support and the encouragement and the positivity they've given you from such a young age, it sounds very much like, as you're talking, that you're kind of carrying that spirit on in how you're passing that forward to the younger generation, which is
so hard to comprehend, isn't it? You know, to go from Bristol to Iran, then have to leave Iran to come back again. It's and come back with nothing. It's unless you I don't think anyone can probably really appreciate it unless they've been in that situation.
And to go through the war.
We can hear the words, but it's not the same.
And go through a war similar to what Ukraine is going through. We had similar war, and to go through a war, to be in blackout most of the time, studying in blackout, and having the red siren going on, which we had to like hide away. Then my mom had a really bad medical trauma during the during one of the red alerts. She cut her leg, had to go to hospital. It's been like really traumatic, but at the same time, and the revolution was quite traumatic, but at the same time, it's built a resilience in me and my sisters that I feel that nothing is impossible. This is a word I seem to be using all the time, even with my trainees. Even the impossible is possible, and I'm making it happen as I'm getting older. I'm finding my way to make the impossible possible, and I tell this to all my trainees, my students. Just go with the flow. Just choose what you want to do, and just believe in yourself. And just do it. And because when you decide, you put it in the universe, somehow or other, you find people who will come and help you. And this is what's happened. This is the story of my life. I've thrown things into the universe. I want to do this. And then out of the blue, people come, and I'm sure you guys, this has happened to you as well. All of a sudden you get people coming around you who want to help you, who want to, make your plan come true. Yeah.
But I think we're naturally drawn to people that have good energy and are positive. And you're one of those. So when you start sharing ideas, people want to be part of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You want to be part of it. You like that kind of energy and the success which comes with it.
It becomes a bit like that mutual appreciation, the pass it on sort of thing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm just going to pass on some advice to you, whether you use it or you might then pass it on to someone else or whatever. I think it's a great way to live.
You've mentioned Matt a few times. Obviously, Matt's your husband, and he's a clinician as well on the hygiene side.
Yeah.
So you're in business together. You're married. You've got a family. How does that work? Because you obviously spend an extraordinary amount of time together.
And he cooks.
And an amazing cook as well.
Honestly, I've got to invite you guys over. Oh my God, his Italian dishes are to die for. Honestly, he makes the best spaghetti, lasagna, everything. Me and Matt have been married for 25 years now, and we met when he was in Queen Mary, I was in Guy's, but in Queen Mary he was studying computer science. So Matt has got 4 degrees. He's got a degree from Iran in maths. He's got a degree in computer science from Queen Mary, master's in computer science, hygiene diploma, and therapy. So he's like done. He's just like done everything. So he's done well. But me and Matt, we've got a good balance. So we sort of we know when to do what. So he's really helped me progress in my career. I mean, without his support, I wouldn't have progressed so far, because whenever I've said, Matt, I want to do this, do it. I want to do that, but who's going to look after the children? Who's going to pick up from school? He says, don't worry, I'll do it. So one of the reasons he went into hygiene therapy was that we needed someone to be more flexible, and he could choose his hours. So that's why he went into study to be a hygiene therapist. Guess what? At what age? He started at the age of 42, and he finished at the age of 45. So he
That's
started
very selfless, isn't it?
Yeah.
He started very late
to do that.
And we had a practice then. We had 2 kids under the age of 3, and he was full-time in studying, and we had just got the practice. The practice was sort of a squat practice, Harrow wheel dental practice, squat practice. So it was hard. It was really hard. But you know what? Hardship makes your relationship stronger. So I always say that it's like a diamond, it's been shattered and broken into pieces to become a diamond. It's a piece of glass. And that's how our relationship, I feel, is getting stronger year by year. And we sort of understand each other better now. I'm sure you guys agree with your wives. Sort of have a better level of understanding.
I agree with her all the time.
That's the best way.
So whatever my wife says, I agree with that. That's great. Yeah.
That's the best way. I like you guys.
Just in case you might happen to listen to the podcast.
But we talked about you and your dental career and your training and your your training and the mentoring and Matt, but there's still 2 more areas, because I know you recently wrote a book, Dentistry in a Nutshell, and you also have your association. So tell us about the book first. How did that come about? Because it's a I mean, I'm not clinical at all, but it's a fully encompassing, it's almost like an encyclopedia of dentistry.
Yeah, it is. I'm very proud of it. So basically, thank you. I've been a foundation trainer since 2004, and in between, so before, in year 2000, I completed. I have to tell you this very quickly. In year 2000, I completed my master's in clinical dentistry, and it was a 2-year full-time program in Queen Mary, which I was traveling in Australia. I left Australia specifically to study this MClean Dent, because it was a new program, hands-on, and I just was like, I had applied for it so many times. So I worked in Australia for a year as a dentist and a flying dentist, and I did quite a lot of extractions and in the Northern Territory treating Aborigines. I had an amazing experience. And then anyway, I left to come back to the UK to start my MClean Dent. And then what happened was, guess who examined me on my thesis for my MClean Dent, which I smashed my thesis, by the way. Guess who examined me? Can you hazard a guess? The guy who wanted me to leave dentistry. Yes, he was there. So when I walked in Eastman's and I saw him sitting there, facing me, I thought, oh shit, there you go, Nicola Gore, you're gonna fail this. And I thought to myself, why should I fail it? I know everything. And when I started talking about my thesis and my introduction and my conclusions and my methods and my statistics, and I knew it inside out, the guy was just like staring at me. He didn't say anything. Then afterwards, we all went for drinks to a local pub near Eastman, and he sat down and he goes, Nicola, I'm really happy that you didn't leave dentistry. And that you... I
was going to ask you, did he remember
he remembered me.
Yeah, he did.
He did remember me.
Wow.
And he said, I'm so happy that you didn't leave. You would have lost a good person.
Oh, good for him for saying that.
Yeah, exactly. And that settled the dust. But going back to dentistry in a nutshell, I had so much knowledge in my head. So every year I was teaching the trainees. One year in 2019, I thought, you know what, everything I'm teaching them, I don't want it to get diluted, because as we get older, we forget a few things. I thought to myself, isn't it, we dilute stuff. So I thought, you know what, from this trainee in 2019, her name was Kavita, I said, are we going to write things down, Kavita? And we're going to, like, every tutorial we do, I want you to create a flow chart on a topic. Like, so for instance, if we're doing crown preparation today, I want you to write it down step by step on how we're doing a crown, checking patients' medical history, getting informed consent, checking the fees, signing the forms, then deciding what crown you're going to do. So step by step approach. And we started putting these together, and in a few months, I had so much. I had topics on crowns, bridges, dentures, veneers, name it. We had like a big log. And I was flicking through it one day, and they were all either handwritten or on computer. And I thought, this is going to make a bloody good book. And at that time, I was following Rabia on Instagram. Instagram to me was new. I started my Instagram in March 2019. And I was just following Instagram, Rabia. And I thought, oh, she's such a nice girl. She was talking about all her cases. I knew she was young. I messaged her on Instagram. I said, Rabia, I have a project. She goes, who are you? I said, I'm Nicola. I've been following you. I have a project. Can you come and help me? And she goes, where are you? I said, I'm in Harrow. She goes, oh, I live near Harrow. I'm coming just now. So she came, despite the fact that her husband said, who's this weirdo like messaging you on Instagram and wanting you to come? And she goes, I don't know. I have a good feeling. She seems nice. So she came, she met up with me. And I said to her, look, I've written all the restorative section. There's bits which I really don't like trauma, dental emergencies, oral medicine, pediatric dentistry. Can you help me? And she goes, yes, of course. So she started putting it together. We started looking at different formats. And then it hit lockdown. it hit lockdown in March 2020. She fell pregnant. She wasn't feeling very well. We sort of put a stop to it. And then back in September 2020, we started again. And then with my foundation training at the time, Puya, I started like working, putting photos together. And then there was another guy, Milad, he was my secretary in British Iranian Dental Association, a fifth year dental student at the time in Glasgow. He started helping me as well. And all of a sudden, by the time it hit June, we got a draft of the book. And it was a book. And we were like, oh my God, this is a book. So it just all came together like so quickly. And it was as if it was meant to be. And now we are so proud to say that every dental school in UK, in the library, there's 3 copies. Proud to say that there's loads being sold abroad in Australia, America, China, Vietnam. We've got a Genius link where we can follow where the clicks are happening on Amazon. So that's happened. And also we've done so many talks now, in different dental schools about the book, and it's just become like, it's so real. And I sometimes have to slap myself like, is this really happening? So
I'll tell you what's interesting. I was going to say, where did you get the time? But I think really smart to use the time with the dentist and saying, right, well, let's prepare it while they're, because they've got to do it anyway. I thought that's a really smart
well, you end up creating it in real really time, and like you say, I suppose there's a few things, isn't there? Like you said, there's the potential dilution and loss of content as you don't remember everything yourself. But for future generations to use that as their start point, because dentistry. There are going to be some changes in terms of technology or approaches or the way that people go about procedures. But at least you've got a really good basis to start with. So will there be a second edition coming?
Oh, Andy, you're so clever. Yes. The second edition is well on the way. I'm hoping to publish it in December. And it's going to be, this current book is 300 pages. It's going to be 600 pages, the other book. I'm adding 5 more chapters. And we are very lucky. We've got a string of specialists who are helping me. So each chapter is going to be allocated to a specialist. So they're going to author that chapter, like orthodontics, implants, tooth wear, digital smile design, biomimetic dentistry. You've got loads of different, like, these are up-to-date topics, like that, a lot of dentists haven't even heard of. So digital versus analog smile design, biomimetic dentistry is a very new concept of bonding fillings, bonding crowns, onlays, so to increase the success rate. So I'm very excited, and I make a lot of time for this because I just really love it and I enjoy it. Every night I'm on Zoom, like from 8:30 p.m. till about 11:30 with the different specialists working on the different chapters and guiding them on, how I want tables. I want it this way. Let's put this way, writing the sub chapters with them, and then they're filling in the content. So, it's honestly, when you start, it's just the start point is hard, isn't it? In everything. Once you start it, you get the ball rolling. It just sort of ideas come. And
also it's that thing that you said earlier on, that if you share ideas with people and talk to people about it, it becomes real. And then suddenly you've got to do it because other people know about it and you don't want to let other people down. So suddenly it's like, I've got to do it now because I've told people about it.
Well, they say in the book, the hardest bit is the first line. How do you start your book?
The book?
I was walking down the park. But, because once you've got the flow, then you've got the flow.
Absolutely.
And if that wasn't enough, if that wasn't enough, you then decided to found the British Iranian Dental Association as well.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I hardly sleep.
Obviously there's obviously the Iranian community in dentistry is quite strong, and particularly the kind of the Swedish Iranian connection as well. So what was the driver to pull together all the Iranian dentists?
So basically, when March 2020 hit and sort of we all closed our practices, it was quite an unknown territory for us. We were very scared because we didn't know how we're going to survive, our income, pay our bills, feed our kids. That was for everybody, not just us, for every business. And what happened was, initially there was a group of dentists run by Mike Shaw. I don't know if you know Mike Shaw. He's a laser guy. He's from Isle of Wight, and Taslim Ahmed. So they were on a WhatsApp group for lasers, like doing laser dentistry. And then they started talking about lockdown and how it's impacting us and or things like that. And I was on that WhatsApp group, and then I started mentioning about things like PPE. And I think, guys, we need to think about PPE, because if we're going to open up our practices, we need PPE, we need masks. Where we're going to get all these from? So they started showing interest in me, that okay, this girl seems to know what she's talking about. So then I became part of this group where I was just looking into PPE, level 2, level 3 PPE, AGPs. I was getting quite intense about knowing what to do, how to run our practices. And then we made our group into a group called Pandora. That laser group became Pandora Group.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I think Oliver did some work with those guys. I think he went to the Isle of Wight and did some work with them.
That's correct. Mike Cronshaw. Mike Cronshaw. And
in fact, Frank Taylor's gave it something to do with. I think we were part of Pandora, some sort of valuation.
Were you?
Or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember that. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Shaz Memon did the website for them. I'm on the website at the moment. And so when I was doing all this, and we're on Zoom talking and being very active, I thought, why am I not doing this for my own community, which were people were struggling. So I with my group of friends, I opened up another WhatsApp group, and I stuck all my Iranian friends, whether they're Swedish dentists, English, British, Iranian dentists, whoever. I said, guys, join in. I want to have a Zoom meeting. I want to tell you what I know. So I had a Zoom meeting, and I told them everything I knew on things. This is where you're going to buy this. This is what you need. This is how you're going to open up your practices. These are the protocols. Sending them all sorts of stuff.
How many did you get to that first meeting?
So the first meeting we had 70 people on the first meeting, and then gradually people were telling each other, we have to join this group Nicola Gore has started, and then we became about 200, and the WhatsApp group was just not handling it anymore. So then me and Matt were like, should we make this into an association? And I said, I think it's gonna work. So I said, for an association, you need a committee. So all my best friends, I gave them a job. You're vice president. I'm president. You're vice president UK. I had a vice president Wales, a dentist who works in Wales and Cardiff. Then I had Matt is my co-founder. So just out of the blue, we have a legal affairs guy. We have who else do we have? So we have education, communication. We have a big committee now, and so overnight I organized committee members. We organized the website overnight, and then we named ourselves British Dental Association. And then one of the guys in the WhatsApp group, one of the dentist artists, we gave him some ideas. We said, can you design a logo? He designed a logo, all this. So by April 2020, we had a British Iranian Dental Association. And I'm the president and co-founder.
Within a month of lockdown.
This lockdown was so good. Honestly, it gave us so many ideas. My ideas were just flourishing for the book, for the association. It was just whew.
I've got this picture in my head of Nicola, who you're a bit of a driving force, Nicola. I am. From our conversation here, of you've got these groups saying, right, I'd like you to be the president, and they're thinking, I'm not going to say no. I really want to do this because Nicola's really enthused about it. It's almost like this force of water is coming towards you. No,
honestly,
I know
we can't do anything. I decided I want to be a president, so I'm a president now.
Yeah. Did you get yourself one of those nice little sort of necklaces?
I have, yes. I have a BIDA. I have a BIDA chain actually. One of those that you put your card. Yes. I have everything.
There we go.
And also we have
sorted.
student members now. We have 150 students. We have a student committee as well.
Oh, wow.
And the students are very active. We have they meet in the park, they go on outings, they go to Thorpe Park. They're just very active. So and the galas we they have to be either student dental students or they have to be GDC registered dentists, British Iranian dentists. So it's a little bit, I've made it a bit exclusive purely because such a thing has never existed nowhere in the world. And so...
But the thing is, I think by keeping it exclusive, it resonates with that audience because there's lots of general groups out there. But what you've created is something for a specific community. So I think keeping it quite exclusive isn't a bad thing because then there's a relevance to everybody that's in the group, the association.
And you're only exclusive by birth or nationality, aren't you? It's not anything. It's about you are one or you aren't one. It's as simple as that.
So,
really.
So we've had negative feedback about it. That why?
I was going to ask you, had you had any people sort of calling you elitist or racist?
So you always get things like that. But when I've sat down, I've explained to them that this is purely, I want to keep it like this because otherwise there's no point. What's the point of an association? And they've then understood my ethos behind it and my vision and my mission. And one of my visions and missions is that I want to touch the new generation of British Iranian dentists, and I want them to carry the legacy, and I want to be like a role model to them, to tell them that you can do anything you want, you can do it, and I want them to carry this legacy, so to pass the baton to somebody else younger than me who can actually be the next president, and then they pass it to somebody else and someone else, and we keep this going for years to come. So
But also, it's sometimes that thing, isn't it? You could share a message through BIDA, isn't it? You could share a message through there that they might not get from someone else. It might be there, but because they've got a better affinity with you, they'll listen to your message, but they might not listen to the same message from someone else. So, the more that you can get the messages out.
Honestly, I'm exhausted. I'm only listening to you, and I'm exhausted.
Oh, but
it's like a tsunami of Gore, isn't it? Nicola Tsunami Gore, almost.
But also, it becomes infectious because the people you work with, the people in your team, the people you mentor, they will share all that energy. So they will then go on and live their lives in a different way. As a result of the positivity that you bring.
I think the thing is, Andy and Chris, we have to enjoy it. If it becomes a chore, you won't do it. It's because I enjoy it, I do it. And, and what it is that I'm very blessed. I've got such good people like, I've got Kish, I've got Jin, I've got all my current FDs. I've got Puya, Kavita, Ali, Ali from Two Dentists and Puya. I've got a whole herd of people around me who give me that enthusiasm that I can't stop. Because of them, I can't stop. And they actually always they're always so encouraging, and they always say they say so many nice things about me that I just think that I can't stop and I need to carry on. And
you love it. I think that's the thing, isn't it? You love it. I don't know how long we've been talking, 45 minutes, but your passion and enthusiasm is, it's pouring out of the screen.
Oh, thank you.
But the thing is, you say, like you say, your FDs and you mentioned Kish and Jin, they're kind of living embodiment and examples of the help that you've given them. So it's almost like magnets; they kind of pull together, don't they? You're taking strength from them, and they're taking it from you. So it's
Kish
like I say, it's a lovely
Kish
story.
and Jin are a big example of the that they never forget where they started from, and they always honestly Andy and Chris, they always mention me, and I just feel so humble. I'm so blessed that they always I played a very small part in their career, a tiny part, but they always mention me, and it shows how great these people are. Kish and Jin are amazing, and they're such good role models for the younger generation.
Also, Nicola, I think but also I think sometimes you say you played a small part, but I think sometimes we underestimate the small things that happen that have a big impact on people.
And at
you
the
know,
beginning,
yes,
I think it's that thing, isn't it? You started their journey, and you could have started it in a really bad way.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it's those lollipop
Yeah.
moments, isn't it? You know, something happens, and for you it might be quite small and insignificant, but actually it really made somebody think deeply about what they're doing or the direction they take or how they behave, and that might change everything going forward. So no, it's I think it's fabulous.
So
and
nicely
I think
said.
we've caught you at a really good time. I think on the back of the you know, the book and BIDA and everything else, I think it's a great time to be having a conversation. We always we always finish up in the same way. We always like to ask our guests the same two questions.
We lean forward and listen.
Yeah, we get to your soul. So our first question is: if you could be a fly on the wall with somebody in a certain situation, so when would that be, and where would you be?
So I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm just like, so difficult. But I chose you, Andy. Yes,
Really?
because because you've done a lot for the industry. You've been, I know that you bought FDA out in 2000, and you've gone from strength to strength
With this good man,
with Chris, and you guys have done so much for the industry. Honestly, it's like mind-boggling, to see, and you connected with people. You're everywhere. You try and connect. You try and do different things. You're good people, and I always like to learn from people like you guys, entrepreneurs, and that is something that I would love to be a fly on the wall to see what your day to day is, what your routine is, how you make it happen, and how do you connect with people? What is the secret? Tea, coffee. I'm up for
shorts. Wearing shorts and tea shorts and tea, coffee and shorts.
I think without doubt we're very fortunate we have one another. Yeah. People often talk about like Venn diagrams, and I think there's a crossover, but we're strong in different areas. But like you've said a number of times, we've got a great team of people, so that frees us up to kind of come up with ideas and plan for the next 10 years, because we don't have to do so much of the day stuff. But I mean, you'd be welcome if you want to come and join us for a day.
I would love to. And also what I want to learn from both of you is that how do you learn to trust each other working together in a business? Because you're not like husband and wife like me and Matt. Do you know what I mean? How do you learn to trust each other, that you say, Chris, I trust you. Chris says, Andy, I trust you. You'd go for it, and I respect what your ideas are. And that's something very important in any business.
I think for us, we worked together in a bank before we bought Frank Town Associates. We worked together in a bank, and we worked together on a project.
Super intense project.
Oh, really?
The intensity of it. We worked. So the madness is we only knew one another for 3 months before we decided to buy a business together. But during those 3 months, we probably worked 14, 16 hours a day together, because we were working on a project for the bank that we had to get delivered, and there was nobody else that understood it apart from us two. So we probably spent the equivalent of 2 years' work
in 3
months. And I think it was that intensity where we had to trust one another without doubt, because we wouldn't have got the job done. So because of that intense start to our relationship, there was that trust in terms of, we think very similar ways in terms of our business decision making. And we just get to a point where, if I make a decision, Chris will back me, even if he doesn't completely agree with what I've done, and vice versa. So that in terms of growing a business, you're able to grow it. You're able to grow it slightly quicker than other people, because you've got two people, and it doesn't matter which one you talk to, you're going to get the same answer.
So you have the same business ethos, both of you.
Yes.
You trust each other.
It's about being honest. We always went down the route. When we worked together, let's say in the bank, we had to have some extremely tricky conversations with other people that we were working with, but we always did it, we felt, in a way that was kind but firm and honest, and that's sort of our premise for when we bought the business. Everything we do,
it's open and honest.
We know we could have made loads more money if we'd have been less honest than we are, because we know what we could have done, because we've seen other people do it. But we're also in the fact of we wanted longevity, didn't we? We wanted a business that was going to last and be a legacy for us, not just something that comes, we make, loads of money and then disappear and then screw everybody over, because that's just not the way
I
we are.
think doing the right thing is way more important than lots of other materialistic things. I think if you keep doing the right thing, over time you win. And that doesn't necessarily mean you win financially, but you win in terms of the output that you get.
Well, you guys have that. So I'll be a fly one day.
You can be our fly, but you can come over coffee and you can watch us at work.
I'll be there.
And then our second follow-up question
You might
is,
be disappointed.
No, never.
And if you could meet somebody, if you could sit down and have dinner or a coffee or a glass of wine, who would you like to meet, given the opportunity?
They can be dead.
They could be dead, okay. But I think
they don't have to be a living person.
I think I thought about this, and growing up, many people, listeners, if they're younger generation, they wouldn't know this person. But growing up, I grew up with sort of Jane Fonda in my head, because I love exercising. I do Pilates. I make time. Exercise is part of my life. It's not like a chore. I exercise is in my routine, like eating, sleeping, drinking. It is my routine, and I don't do it to lose weight. I do it because I feel it's like part of my life, and I've got to be healthy, get my lymph going, all that. And anyway, so Jane Fonda is the person who I would like to sit with, have dinner with, and see what's the secret to her youth, because she's always youthful. She's 87 now, but she's still exercising. She's still acting, and and she looks amazing. And she's had a hard childhood, and hard marriages, like breaking up, but she's still good. So I want to be like Jane Fonda when I grow up.
when I grow up.
Not gonna say grow old.
When
grow
you get
up.
to be 87.
Yeah. Well, my wife Caroline, she watches. Is it Frankie and Grace?
Yes.
She's in something called Frankie and
she
Grace.
is. Yeah.
And I think that's that's a relatively new program, and she still looks incredible, and she's so sprightly.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I didn't realise that she was so old.
She's 87. She
looks
looks amazing, and I want to be like that. I don't want to grow old. I want to grow like Jane Fonda.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I think if you keep your energy and passion, you'll stay forever young, Nicola.
Yes, I have to keep the good people around me. The good people.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, lovely, Nicola. Thank you. We could talk all night. Honestly, I think you've got so many stories. You've got so much going on.
Yeah.
We could do an episode 2 in 6 months, and you'll have 20 more ideas. I'm sure.
I'd love that. Honestly, guys.
Dentistry in a nutshell. Version
4.
Yeah.
I'm writing my own book, by the way, my autobiography. I'm writing it. So about all my little stories I have. And also I published a book for my dad, because my dad passed away last year. And but I never say he passed away. I always say he's alive. So I've written a little book for him as well in his honor about his life. So that's published already on the NHS Workers.
Lovely.
Yeah. So we'll have more to talk about in 6 months. But
absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. We'll definitely do it
it's
again.
been such an honor to be on your podcast. Thank you so much for asking me. I always look up to you guys.
Thank you for saying yes.
And I think you guys are doing a great job. And thank you so much for your time and having me.
No, thank you, Nicola.
Thank you, Nicola.
It's been really good. Been really enjoyable. Thank you very much indeed. Keep well.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Dentology, where we discuss the business of dentistry. If you like what you heard, please do subscribe where you found this episode. That would be amazing. And also follow us on Instagram.